more content like this, be sure to subscribe to Mason Studios on YouTube.
So real quick, for those that don't know me, my name is Josh Mason. I'm an award-winning independent filmmaker from the West Tennessee area, and this coming up panel means a lot to me because for those of you that some of you may know, some of you may not, a few years ago I directed a Super Mario Brothers fan film, and I say that so that you all understand how huge of a Mario Brothers fan I am. I'm a lifelong fan of the series, as I'm sure most of you sitting here are. So these next two performers, really, they mean a lot to me. They've been a big part of my, not only childhood, but really my whole life, because I've been playing Mario games my entire life. So I would like everyone to make a ton of noise and give a huge Mushroom Kingdom welcome to Kenny James and Samantha Kelly. Woo! Princess Peach, Toad, and Bowser themselves, right here in the flesh, ladies and gentlemen. How are you guys enjoying Tupelo Con so far?
It's been really fun. We met so many nice people. It's my first time in Tupelo, so thanks for telling us how it goes and just being friends. Thanks for coming over to the table. It's been really fun.
Oh yeah, Tupelo Con's one of the best cons ever. What about you, Kenny? I think your mic's already on, sir. I think you're good.
No, I was looking at it. I'm like, oh, I'm glad it says Mike. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known what it was.
Otherwise, he wouldn't have known. He would have known.
No. Everything's going great. I've done all of Austin's shows. So yesterday was a travesty, but I was like, all right, if it was anybody else but Austin, I would have gone home because of the flight situation we had. But here I am.
Yeah, Austin. By the way, Austin is referring to the very fine gentleman that runs this Comic-Con along with a few other shows.
Austin Val, yeah.
And I can attest that he is one of the best guys you'll ever meet, one of the nicest human beings on the planet, and does an incredible job running these shows. Like, he runs some of the best shows in the industry, in my humble opinion. So I'm kind of the same way. Like, if he's running a show, I'm going to be there, no matter, like, even if I'm sick. Like, I'm going to be at Austin's show. So starting off, guys, I guess the first thing we got to establish is, as far as voice acting, how did you both get kind of initially involved with voice acting? Was that something that you always wanted to do? And, just kind of walk us through that process.
When I was a little kid, I just like making funny voices. I don't know if any of y'all like to just make sounds, just to make sounds. But, so I did that a lot, and my parents were going, you need to get a real job. And then I grew up and I found, like, you know what, I did radio. And so I just liked making sounds, editing my voice, figuring out, what's funny, what's interesting. And I was doing a lot of commercials. I live in the Seattle area. That's where Nintendo is based. So I was there and my agent sent me on a job. And I was doing regular commercials, like for Nordstrom or Amazon or whatever. And I went to this audition, and I had not played the games before I went, and they go, can you do this voice? Yay! Can you do this voice? Yeah! And so I get the job, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, these games are amazing! So then I started playing Mario Kart and like playing all these games that they were all new to me. And I'm a pretty shy person, and so it was really good that I did not know exactly what it was when I did it, or else I probably wouldn't have been able to do it. So, yeah, I'm grateful. And every time we get to come here and do this, it just makes us so happy because we get to, it's one thing to make sounds in a studio, but to come and to hear stories about, well, what does it mean? That's even better. So you guys are the reason we love to do this.
When did you start acting? I don't think I've ever asked you that before.
I started acting the minute I could. I'm probably 12 years old or whatever, the minute I could. You've been acting for a long time, but not that long, right?
Yeah, no, I didn't. My side of the question, or the answer, would be I didn't start acting until I was 40.
So last year.
Yeah, I've got a couple of years on her, so as far as age goes, anyway.
You're not a day over 27, right, Kenny?
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I feel like I'm 105 right now, though. But I just kind of bullheadedly decided after seeing a production at the Paramount Theater in Seattle. I saw Fiddler on the Roof and with Tupelo, and I was like, I could do that. So I started auditioning for community theater shows, and at the same time I took a class at the University of Washington experimental campus for commercial voiceover, and I did what I consider really well in that class, and had a demo produced, and I thought, well, now I'm going to be on my way. No, not so much, but I put it on the internet, and I kept working my jobby job, and eventually ran across somebody who I was talking about doing voice work, and this customer of ours, I used to work for Suburban Propane, but she was like, I'm a producer at Bad Animals, which was the studio that Nintendo was using in Seattle. And I said, she goes, do you do voice work? And I said, I'm trying. Second thing she said was, do you have a demo? And I went, I do. Well, they started sending me audition requests, and I wasn't getting any of it, but when they recast Bowser, it was just an audition, and I sent it in, and here I am now, 21 years later. So, yeah, it's weird. You never know what's going to happen. You never know what you're going to do.
You never know. You never know.
How many of you guys want to be voice actors or you're actors?
Oh, wow, a bunch.
Yeah. So he answered a lot of the questions, which is like, how do you do this? You know, and so he took classes, he's doing acting, he had a demo. And then the weirdest one, which you can't always answer, is right place at the right time. Like, how do you just be there when you're able to do something that, you know, maybe 1 million people could do it, but you get to do it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was actually talking to my service manager about this guy in Canada was paying me $8 a line to do answering machine things. So, you know, I was all like, hey, Scoob, you know, answer the phone, man. You know, it's like, And so, you know, or it would be New York guy or whatever. And that's why she heard me talking about that, and she was like, you do voice work? And I was all like, yeah, kind of. But yeah, I was kind of bragging about, yeah, I'm a professional voice actor now, you know, because I get $8 a line.
Hey, that's more than some
But that's
folks.
just it. Like, just do anything. Do it for free. Do it for $8 a line. Just do it because you love doing it. And then just trust that if you're doing it, somebody who might be able to hear it and have something more for you would be on your side and help you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, hey guys, by the way, in about 5 minutes, we will be turning it over to audience questions. So I do want to remind all of you, just kind of be thinking of what questions you want to ask. And here in about 5 minutes or so, we'll have y'all start lining up at that mic. So go ahead. It's not every day you get to ask the Princess Peach and Bowser a question. So I'm sure y'all got plenty of them. I do want to ask y'all, obviously, like I said, I'm a lifelong fan of Mario Brothers. One of my earliest memories is me in diapers as a very small child. This was last week. No, I'm just kidding. Sitting in front of one of the old CRT screens, watching Mario bounce on the NES. So I've been a lifelong fan. But for y'all, do y'all remember a specific moment, maybe it was even before you acted as the characters, that y'all realized how big the Mario fandom is and just how big of a piece of pop culture the Super Mario Brothers is?
I really didn't think about it, not at first. When I got cast I thought, this is it. This is my golden ticket, you know? And it turned out to not be so. But,
Financially.
as it went on, you know, the more people walk up, well, when I was still working at Suburban, selling propane and propane accessories, I'll tell you what, I really still didn't have a grasp on how big it was, you know, to have this part. I would be laying on somebody's living room floor working on their fireplace, their gas fireplace, and I'd look over and go, oh, you guys have a Wii. That's cool. I'm Bowser. You know, and these people are like, no, you're not. And I'm like, I am. You know, as time went by, and then I started doing these conventions, you start to realize the gravity, you know, of the character, how much effect it has on so many people. I've had people my age, all the way down to toddlers, you know, that are huge fans of the franchise. So once that gets a grip on you, then you're like, all right, I get it, you know.
What about you, Samantha? What about for you?
It's very surreal to do it because you don't realize that you don't see anybody playing it. It's just you making the voices. And we don't even get to see what the game looks like for like a year and we have to be quiet for the whole year about whatever the plot was because it's top secret. So it's kind of like it didn't happen. You know, you sort of remember it, but you forget it. And then when it comes out, the games, you're playing it, but you're just in your own living room, you know, and it would be weird, like when I was doing Mario Kart on the Wii and I was playing with our son, and I would be doing Peach as a main, and I'd be like, yay, woo! And it was weird because it was making the same sound as the character. But I think it's like those moments where people are talking about the characters, like if I'm in a waiting room or at our daughter's school or whatever, and they're talking about these characters, and I'm thinking in my head, that's me, but nobody knows it, you know? And I don't tell anyone because I'm like, I don't know. He tells people, or his wife does, but I'm just sort of shy, but I find it fascinating. It's like, wow, these characters really matter. And then when we get to come here and hang out, we go, oh yeah. And you know, you guys would want to make the characters because you dress, I mean, you can cosplay them beautifully. You can make the voices.
We got a Peach and a Bowser in the audience right now.
There's some talent. Can I say it? You can draw the characters. There's talent in this room.
Maybe a month ago or less, I was at DFW and I was checking in for my flight and I got a random, you know, they had to swab my phone, you know, to see if it was going to blow up. And this TSA guy up on the high desk, he looks at me and my suitcase has Bowser stickers and stuff on it. And he goes, wow, you really like Bowser, huh? And I went, I am Bowser.
Right.
These guys were like, wait, what?
He's like, I'm the king of the Koopas.
So, you know, then I give them the whole...
And then he got tossed out of DFW and put on the Do Not Fly list.
Bowser got put on the Do Not Fly list. This next question is going to be for you, Samantha. It's probably one of the big hard-hitting questions that everybody wants to know the answer to. And honestly, I am 36 years old, and I have probably waited my entire life to ask you this question. That's how big a deal this is. I think everyone's going to be very appreciative when I ask this question because the fans really want to know this. So the question is, in regards to Toad, the character of Toad, is that part of his head or is that like a hat? Like what's the deal with that? Is that?
That's so personal, man. I can't believe you just asked that.
I think it might be a hat. No comment.
No comment.
No comment.
Smarter brains than mine are in charge of that.
Fair enough. Well, I think the fans need to know, you know. I did have one other question, though, regarding because I've always been curious about this. a 1993 live-action adaptation of Mario Brothers was made, starring Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo, that half the people in this room probably hate. The other half probably consider it like one of the best 90s. That's me. I think it's a great 90s adventure film. Yeah, thumbs up, thumbs down for the 1993 Mario Brothers movie. Yeah, okay. Yeah, some lot of thumbs down. I see a lot of thumbs down. That's the general consensus. So I'm curious what your opinions are. If you've seen the movie, what you think of it, all that.
I've never seen it all the way through.
Me neither. Maybe like this, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, now it's considered a cult classic. So, whatever. But, yeah, no, no, thank you. It's not my cup of tea, let's put it that way. If I'm going to watch a cult classic, it's going to be something like Rocky Horror, you know, something like that, so.
I think the general consensus with the 93 Mario movie is it is a terrible Mario Brothers film, but it's like a great action adventure. If you remove the Mario title from it, it's actually a decent film. But yeah, it doesn't make any sense when you have Super Mario Brothers as the title of that movie because it has nothing really to do with the games. It's Mario Brothers in name only.
It's so weird.
Yeah. How much direction would you say you guys received from Nintendo during the actual voice acting sessions?
Yeah, good question. So we will be in a studio. All of it. There's a team of people. So they'll have writers, directors, producers. They've got all these like 6 people or so. And there's a glass, and then we're like the zoo animal behind the glass who's got the microphone doing stuff. And we have headphones, and so they'll tell us, okay, go ahead and read this, here's what we're thinking, and then you do it. Usually they'll do 3 versions of Let's Go, do 3 versions of that. And you do it, and then it's quiet for a while, and then they will tell you which one they like, or if they want you to take another run at it. And then they give like major direction, and the best directors are ones who can think outside the box, and so they'll think, pretend that you're walking down the street with your ice cream cone and a big balloon hits you and knocks you over and you drop your ice cream cone. How do you feel? You're like, whoa! And so they'll tell you some crazy scenario to get your brain into what they're trying to get out of that line. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
By the way, every time they do the voices up here, I revert into being a child again because it's like, oh my God, it's Peach and Bowser. That's right, yeah, Bowser in the house. How, as far as like voicing specifically Toad, I feel like that would be a voice that kind of put a lot of strain on your vocal cords and stuff. Has that been like a challenge? Was there any techniques you developed to kind of handle doing that voice?
Yeah. A lot of spit. Get a lot of spit in your mouth. I like to drink a lot of water when I'm doing it. And then they're really, at Nintendo, they're really thoughtful. Like, they will have us do the Toad sounds, and especially the super excited Toad sounds at the very end of the recording session. So let's say we're recording for 2 weeks. The last day is going to be Toad's most elevated lines because he's going to lose it. And they know my voice might be kind of low for Peach after that. Like, it's a little low now because I've been talking a lot, but like Toad, yeah. So, tons of water, quick hits.
Yeah, we've all heard the noise. We've all heard the noise.
I'm not going to do it because I drive him crazy when I do that sound. He does not like it.
Yeah, we've all heard the noise Toad makes whenever he goes off the track in Mario Kart. Yeah, I can imagine that puts some strain on the voice.
Yeah. My recording sessions are slightly different because I don't have anything easy. It's all Bowser. So, I can't slide by on, Peach for a day or 2 and then go and do Bowser. I have to do Bowser all the time. So, because I'm getting old, now they only record me for 2 hours a day. So, used to be 4 or 5 hours at a shot. But 21 years later, now they're like 2 hours a day, and I go, I can get it done in 3 days if you just let me go. And they're like, nope, 2 hours a day, and that was it. So, you know, that's what happens when you get old, and you fall down in your driveway.
What would you say if y'all had to pick one noise throughout all your recording sessions? What is the strangest noise or sound that you both have had to make as the characters?
Meowser.
Mauser?
Meowser. Yeah. Meowser was, if you guys know, 3D World. They had a script, and it said Meowser in quotation marks, and I laughed. I was all like, that's hilarious. I said, what does it mean? So they explained it, the power-up, and they go, there's going to be a Cat Peach, Cat Mario, Cat Bowser. I was like, cool. What do you want him to sound like? Dude looks at me through the glass, the zoo effect, previously mentioned, and he goes, click. We don't know. And I was like, okay. So yeah, one of the most interesting things I did was Meowser, because I thought, you know, he can't be a little kitty cat. He can't go, meow. That's stupid. So I went more like Bobcat, kind of bigger, like, wow, wow. And then I went, okay, that's not Bowsery enough. So then I start going, wow, wow, wow. And I did that for a couple of hours, and I could taste blood. So I did not lose my voice. All you interweb people, no. 3 days later, I was singing on stage in Evita. So, bleh.
It's because he's a professional.
He's a professional. He is. It wasn't hard, but it was a brain exercise. Was when they did the voices for the Super Mario World at Universal. They wanted to invent a Toad who would be in charge of the Toad Store Cafe, and so they wanted Chef Toad. And they go, we don't know, you know, what Chef Toad would sound like. And so we were thinking about, you know, how do you combine Toad? In my brain, I was like, Toad with a French chef who's super proud of all his stuff, you know. And so we started messing with him, and it was like, welcome, I'm Chef Toad. And he'd had all these like little toads running around doing a bunch of stuff, and it was just delightful. To me, that's the best part, is like when you don't quite know what it's going to be, but then you start it, and when you hit it, and they can tell you hit it, and you know you hit it, and you're like, that's it, that's what we're trying to do. And that feels good.
Have y'all been, by the way, to the Super Nintendo World? I assume you haven't been yet?
I haven't gone yet. I want to go, because those were lines that Peach got to say. Like, a lot of times we don't get to say a bunch of lines, but when they were animating that giant Peach mascot, they had her say everything. And I was speaking as Peach for the first time, and it was like, oh, yes, I really want to go.
Yeah, I can't wait to go. I haven't been yet myself either, but yeah, it's on like top of my to-do list is to go to Super Nintendo World.
Yeah, I was in Burbank for 4 days, I think, recording Mario Kart World. And so I had a chance. I was right around the corner from the park. And I was like, I don't want to go by myself. So I get a hold of my agent, our appearance agent, and they were like, no, we all got COVID last weekend. And I was like, wait, what? So I didn't go. I didn't want to go by myself.
Will any of you guys go with Bowser to Super Mario World?
I think everybody
We
would
would
go.
go with him, right?
Well, I was kind of hoping that, you know, the agent would pull some strings and stuff.
You also have like lifetime free passes.
We've got Bowser here, you know.
Yeah, lifetime free passes for passes for
Charge
Bowser.
me
$130
to go into the park, you know.
Now I see.
That's right. Do y'all have?
Now I see.
In all the years that y'all have been doing this, is there a specific fan interaction that really stands out? Something that was really memorable that happened, maybe either at a convention or even on the street?
And he's still my friend now, is when COVID was happening, we were doing some cons that were online because we weren't meeting in person. And so in some of the cons, they would have a chance for you to meet in a chat room with a fan who, you know, I don't know, paid $5 or $20 or whatever to talk with you for about a couple minutes. And I'm an introvert, and so the idea of being in a chat room with someone for a couple minutes that you don't know and coming up with conversation was really intimidating to me. But I got into this chat room, and here's this guy, and he's really skinny, and he doesn't have any hair, but he's got this giant smile, just like this huge smile, and these big, bright, sparkling eyes. And I find out that he has been battling a pretty insidious kind of cancer for a chunk of time. And this is his second go around with it. And we just started talking, and he told me, he said, you know what, I know I can beat this cancer because I have saved you so many times, and I got to the end of Odyssey, and I know that I can beat this. And I told him, yeah, you know, I know you can too. And he did. And so we are still friends to this day, and that was really special to me.
That's awesome.
Because the games matter. Like, you know, you find out that in a world that is kind of, the world can be nuts, you know, but in these games, we have community, and we have victory, and we have so many cool things that are beautiful and smart and kind, you know?
100%.
I love that.
Y'all give a round of applause for that story. That story is awesome. What about for you, Kenny? You have a specific fan interaction that stands out?
You signed a baby.
Well, we all signed.
Did you say he signed a baby?
You signed a
Yeah.
baby.
Bowser signed a baby.
But yeah, it's so much fun to have people come up to the table, and like I said previously, they could be my age all the way down to toddlers. I get a real big kick out of little kids that are like 8 years old, and they go, I've been playing these games since I was little. And I'm all like, wait, what? But I get a huge kick out of the fact that it's being passed on generation to generation to generation, over and over and over and over. I had, I think it was late last year, I had somebody come up to the table, and they had a little bitty kid with them, you know, like a 1-year-old or 1.5 or barely walking, I don't know. And they were like, we put a controller in his hand, and he sits there and he's doing his thing, and they're like, are you winning? And he's like, yeah. But he's not actually doing anything, you know. He's just, the game is on, he's got the controller, and they're like, are you winning? And he's like, yeah. So, I mean, to me, that's freaking amazing.
Yeah, I think everybody has a personal connection to these characters just because they're characters we've grown up with. And like I said, I know I've been such a fan for so long that people can sometimes probably get a little emotional when they get to meet you guys and hear you do the voices and things like that, because we've all grown up with the series, and you got people like me in their 30s and people in their 40s that are fans, and now you got little kids that are just discovering these games for the very first time. So it means a lot, to a lot of people. And by the way, guys, just a reminder, if y'all, anytime you want to line up at the mic, I'll keep asking questions, but y'all can line up and ask a question at any time if you have one. Here comes somebody now. Yes, sir.
So, this is a question for both of y'all. What has been the favorite game y'all have worked on?
Favorite game y'all have worked on?
My favorite game was Princess Peach Showtime, just because I was going, it's about time Peach gets her game. I mean, after all those years, you know, Super Princess Peach, yes, but also, like, it was time. And I love that they gave her so much range, that she could do all these different things and have even, like, variation in her voice with how tough she was. And yeah, I love Showtime, my favorite.
Galaxy, maybe. One of the reasons I like Galaxy is it's kind of big-headed, but there's a lot of Bowser in Galaxy. So, you know, every time you finish a level, you got a Bowser battle. And I still, to this day, remember playing that for the first time and going, that sounds so cool, you know? Because I really didn't, the only thing I had done prior to that was, what was the first one? Strikers. And there wasn't a lot of Bowser in Strikers, but then we followed up with the launch of the Wii I did Galaxy and Mario Kart Wii in one recording session. They pushed me really hard on that one, but it was tons of fun, and being able to play it and see the character with my voice on it was freaky. I was like, what just happened, you know? So, yeah, I don't know.
Cool. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
You guys have been doing this for such a long time. Is there anybody that stands out or that stood out to you as one of the most interesting people that you had the pleasure of working with?
One of the people that stood out to you that you had the biggest pleasure to work with? One of the most interesting people?
It's interesting because we don't always record in the same studio. So even while we're all in the same game, we don't get to hang out together. Like, I didn't start hanging out with Kenny or Charles or Grant or Laura Faye Smith until we started doing cons. And then you get to see and know the people that are actually behind the voices that are in the same game that you're in. And so it's been cool because when we come to cons is when we hang out, probably just like you. When you come, you see your friends, you're like, oh, hi, you guys want to go do something? And that's us. Like, when we're here, we get to be with the people that we work with all the time but never met. Yeah?
Alice Cooper.
Alice Cooper, that's cool. Alice Cooper.
Alice Cooper.
At a con, right?
I can drop a lot of names, but yeah, Alice Cooper was really cool. Jonathan Frakes. I mean, there's so many.
Jim Cummings was mine.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Anne Margaret kissed my hand.
Oh, that's some bragging rights right there, yeah.
And Tori Spelling bit you.
And Tori Spelling bit me.
Did she have a good reason?
No.
Probably.
I walked up to her and I went, aren't you supposed to be in class? You know, because of 90210.
Right.
And
She didn't like smart Alex, I guess.
and I went, Anne Margaret kissed my hand. And she took my hand and she bit it. And I was all like, ow! I was like, what the hell's going on?
Bowser is sensitive.
Bowser's very, very
Yes.
sensitive.
Now, see, yeah, look, now I've got tetanus and...
Yeah, he's still got the scar and everything.
Sorry, Tori. Where are you?
Anybody else have any other questions? Yes, sir.
This isn't more of a question, but it's more of a thing to tell Kenny. You mentioned Meowser, and maybe you remember something about 64 Bowser. Most of the noises he made literally were just Jaguar noises.
Yeah, that's before my time. And probably a little known fact is that one of the original voices or sounds that they used for Bowser was actually Charles Martinet. It was on a sound effects disc. And I think that's the sound that you're talking about. Yeah. Oh yeah, it was the laugh, yeah. But yeah, that's odd how that worked out, you know. But, yeah, 21 years later, Charles, can't do that.
Yes, sir. You have a question?
I tried to find it online, but
I didn't really have much luck. I guess I'm just not good at interneting, but did you do, this is for Kenny, did you do the voice of Bowser in any of the Smash Brothers games?
Negative.
So my question would be, what would your, like if you get the chance to do that in an upcoming game, what would you want Bowser, maybe even Giga Bowser? What would your take on Giga Bowser be?
What would your take on Giga Bowser be?
Yeah, the thing about Smash, that whole series, that producer uses animal sounds for Bowser. He likes it that way. He just stays that way. I had a guy come to the table one time right after Smash Ultimate came out, and I swear to you, this guy sounded just like this. He goes, "So, how come in Smash Ultimate you sound like Godzilla?" And I went, "Because it's not me." So, he uses animal sounds, but I mean, if it was me, it would just sound like regular old Bowser, I think, you know? It's what I do. And it also depends on what Sammy was talking about, was the directors, you know? Directors and producers, they know what they want.
Samantha, did you do Peach's voice on any of the Smash Brothers games?
Yeah, I
Cool.
did. I did. Yeah, my two favorite lines from Smash are, "Achoo!" and "Oh, did I win?"
It's a very surreal experience hearing that in person. Does anybody else have any other questions? Y'all can all come up to this mic right here. Lean close into it because we're all hard of hearing up here, especially me.
So, Kenny, you had a game sort of about Bowser, Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story.
Yeah.
You did the voice for it, right?
Yeah.
With the weird dialogue sounds, because you know the characters talk with bubble speech. Did you make the weird little like sound they make while they talk?
I don't specifically remember all of that because that was like 2008 or something, and the biggest thing I remember from it was them asking me to say Nintendo. You know, when the game boots up, it's like Nintendo, you know, and then there's the whole Showtime thing, but my biggest memory, I think, from recording that particular title was that was the first time I met Charles. I was coming out of the studio, and they said, "Charles Martinet's on his way in from the airport," and I went, "Oh, I'll just hang out. I've never met him." So, shake hands. "Hey, how's it going?" And they got him sushi, and all I got was the snacks in the green room.
Oh no.
So I kind of knew my place immediately. They were like, "Hey Charles, we got you sushi," because he's an avid fan of Japanese food, he really is.
That's awesome.
But yeah, other than
You got
that,
some peanut M&Ms. That's good.
other than that though, I don't remember that much about that session.
Cool.
Really.
Well, thank you for your question.
Good question.
Next up, can you give them those? Yeah, you can come on up. Yeah. She has notes.
Yeah.
Those
Oh.
are beautiful. They're so pretty.
I don't
Oh, those are
These
great.
are amazing.
I don't-
Alice, are you Alice? These are phenomenal.
She
I
did,
don't
sketches.
art, so I can't even comprehend this.
Really good.
I don't art and I don't math.
Those are awesome, Alice.
It's the spinning
This is going
image.
in my studio.
It's the spinning image of Kenny right there.
It's just like
I have a folder for just such things, you know.
There you go. That's awesome.
So they don't get crushed in my luggage.
Anybody else? Anybody else have any questions? Do you have a question? You can ask another. That's fine. Yeah.
This was actually two questions that I thought of, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
I guess this is a hypothetical question. Samantha, this is for you. If since Mario is Italian, if Princess Peach were Italian,
What would she sound like? Is that what you're asking? So what would Princess Peach sound like if she was Italian?
I don't even think I could do that. I have no idea. Mamma mia! Yeah.
Something terrible like that, I'm sure.
I think Josh just got the job. Whoa.
I'm gonna be the new voice of Peach.
Italian.
Yeah.
It's Italian.
my other question was, I know Charles Martinet he had a cameo in, he had 2 roles in the first Super Mario Bros. Animated movie. If you two were able to get roles, what would you like if you had your choice of like a fun cameo? What would you want to be?
Oh, that's a great question. If y'all had your choice of a fun cameo in the new Mario animated films, what would it be?
I would want to be a Toad for sure. That would be really fun. I love that.
I don't want a cameo.
He doesn't want to be a cameo. He wants to be the star.
I want my lead.
Who wants to take Jack Black's role back?
They used my voice in the first movie in the background. If you listen carefully, you can tell it's me. But they didn't even give me an additional voices credit, so.
Oh no, that's not fair.
Well, they own everything.
And you got those peanut M&Ms. So.
Any
Good
other
question.
questions, anybody?
She tries to keep me level
So,
because I'll go Grant otherwise.
I already asked what was your favorite game you did. So I guess I should go in the opposite direction. What was your least favorite game you did?
Least favorite game that you did?
I don't have any. I like them all.
Yeah, no. I have a love-hate relationship with 3D World because of Meowser. So it's both one of my favorites and one of my most hated. But and that's all just because it hurt. I mean, I tore myself up doing that game.
It's so fun afterwards, even if it's hard during, afterwards you just loved it. You love the result.
Yes, what was your question?
So we have a game for Mario, we got a Luigi, Peach, and Toad has Captain Toad. Do you think Bowser may get an actual game in the future?
Will Bowser get his own game?
You know, it's really funny. What I usually say to questions like that is, you're gonna have to ask Miyamoto-san, because beats me. I mean, the closest thing I've come to that was Bowser's Inside Story. And that was a Canadian developer that's not even in business anymore. But yeah, I mean, I would love that. I think it would be fantastic. The fandom seems to want it, so I don't understand why they haven't done it, but they do's what they do's.
It's probably coming.
Maybe.
Yep.
It's coming. They'll make it at
It's
some
coming.
point. If there's money to be made, they're going to make it. We probably have time maybe for 1 or maybe 2 more questions. Any last? Yes, sir.
One of them brought up that question about cameo. Hey, if there's a chance maybe Tatonga could come back and you could play as Tatonga. He's the main villain in Mario Land.
Which character is that?
He was the main antagonist in Mario Land.
The main antagonist in Mario Land. I don't think I'm familiar with that character.
Purple alien dude.
Super Mario Land. And for Game Boy. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You went deep. Nice.
I think they said it's a purple alien or something. I'm like a huge Mario nerd, and I'm not even aware of that.
That was the first appearance of Princess Daisy, I think.
Okay, first appearance of Princess Daisy. Cool. Well, I guess I'll ask the final question. It's probably the most important one, which is, after all these years, what do these characters mean to each of you after voicing them for so long? And then, I guess, if you have any final words for the fans of the series and what the fans mean to you guys.
I don't know, this has been a weird ride, We don't get royalties, so I'm not rich. But being able to call myself, whether I like to do it or not, call myself an icon, it's really, 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 really cool. You know, I said to my wife one time, I said, I was on submarines, I was in a bunch of bands, I've done a ton of theater, I'm an iconic video game character. I go, 100 years from now, somebody can look me up or look up Mario on Google if it hasn't turned into Skynet yet, which it will. And my face will pop up. So I have this kind of a legacy thing, you know, and so I try to protect it. I'm super grateful, especially to the fans. So other than that, I don't know. It's weird being me.
I think the thing I love about that we get to play video games is that we get to, for a minute, be these characters like you do. And it's a beautiful thing to get out of our regular lives and out of a world that's kind of crazy sometimes and just be in these worlds. And so it makes me happy that we get to share all these characters. And what I love about Peach, I think, is that she's very fierce and very delightful. And I like that for women and young women especially, and all of us really. And for Toad, I love his joy and his just uptightness and his excitement. And so to me, those are all of us, right? We have all pieces of these things in us. And Bowser, we have all this in us, and it's a place for us to express it. And when you guys come and talk to us and you share your stories, it makes us so happy in our hearts. So just thank you for playing the games, and thank you for being our friends, and we love you.
Yeah, what she said.
What she said. Well, you guys are both absolute icons. Thank y'all so much for doing this. It's been an honor as a lifelong Mario fan to host this panel with you guys. So, ladies and gentlemen, give a huge round of applause for Kenny James and Samantha Kelly.
Great!